So like he rightly introduced myself, I am a foundation doctor working in general surgery in Basildon and Thurrock University Hospital. And I'm also the international doctor representative at my hospital. And I've found the IMG Mentor, which is basically a platform to help doctors across the world towards their journey to UK and help them with personal counseling and also with regular webinars talking about all the processes. Since I only have 20 minutes here, I'm just going to rush through everything and hopefully widely cover everything. So moving on. Sorry, there is a lag on my screen. Okay, so the topics that I'm going to cover today is basically routes for your GMC license, training structure in the UK, the various exams that you have to give, and visa and expenses. And if I get time, I will talk about your life in UK and various other aspects of why to choose your post-graduation in UK. So this screen basically shows you a very complicated structure of how there are various ways of getting your license. So as you can see, that means that there are so many options for you to go through. It's not just one, okay, you need to clear this exam and then then and only then will you get a license. You have 2 or 3 paths that you can take. So let me just guide you through it. So as a doctor, we are all from India, we're all international medical graduates for UK. And to get a GMC license, you either need a primary medical qualification, which is accepted in the UK. So unfortunately, our MBBS is not accepted. So we need to go through the PLAB route. So this is basically giving your English exams and PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, and then you apply for your license. The other way is to go through Royal College membership exams. So you can give these exams after your MBBS, and you do need, like, it's very varied. For step 1, you can give it immediately after your exam, but you need some experience to give you further steps. And once you've completed the membership, you can apply for English exam and get the license again. The other way is to go through MTI. I'll talk about this later on in my presentation. Once you get the license, you are allowed to come and practice in the UK. It's a medical license to practice. Now, once you get that license, you can either apply for training posts, or you can come and do a non-training job and eventually get through the whole process of going into training and then eventually becoming a consultant. Again, if you see, everything's interlinked here. So you can either go through this, or you can go into non-training job and go into training and then apply for consultancy. Or you can go into non-training job and then go through a CSER pathway, which is an alternate pathway to become a consultant. So there's a lot of options. And it's always like, if you don't get into one thing, you can always choose the other route, and eventually you will be somewhere in your career. So that was a brief idea about the whole structure. Let me just get into more details. Sorry, my presentation seems to be lagging on Zoom. So that's the training structure. Now, this is the training structure that everybody in the UK graduates follow, and we can also join in. So in UK, they do a 6-year MBBS program, after which they get a GMC license, and then they do FY1 and FY2. That's Foundation Year 1 and Foundation Year 2. Foundation Year 1 is equivalent to our internship in India. And after Foundation Year 2, they get into a training, specialty training program. That is core training that can either be this way or this way. So you can either have a core training of CT1 and CT2 in whichever field you want to do. And then you apply for a specialty training, which goes on from 3 to 8 years. So the total specialty training is 8 years. Or you can, directly after FY2, you can get into a run-through program, which is basically complete 8 years, but just one entry point. And then after that, after you've completed your training, you become a consultant. I can imagine that as you compare to India, it sounds like it's really long. It's 8 years, and you do only 3 years in India. But let me tell you, like in India, you do your post-graduation, then you do your SRship, you do your MCH, and you do your another year of service after your MCH. And eventually it takes you that many years to get into super specialty. So this is maybe 1 or 2 years more, but it's definitely moving on in your career. You're not stuck in training. So although it seems long, but it's, I would say you're moving on from one step to the other every year. So now let's talk on your GMC license. So your General Medical Council, that's the full form of GMC. For that, you need to apply for an English proficiency exam. And then depending on where you are in your career, if it's after MBBS, you would go through the route of giving PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. And if it's after your post-graduation in India, you would preferably go through Royal College exams. But even though you've done your PG, you can still go through the PLAB 1 and PLAB 2 route if you wish to, and then give your Royal College exams. When to give these exams is, again, a question that depends individually. So talking about your English proficiency exam, there's 2 exams that you can give. There's IELTS and OET. So IELTS is worth 18,000, OET is 28,000. And IELTS is enough for UK visa as well as your GMC license, whereas OET is specifically for GMC license. Why would someone prefer OET over IELTS is sometimes when you're struggling to get enough points on IELTS, people go for OET because it's more medical English, and whereas IELTS is more general in English. But I would recommend you go through IELTS, and if you fail the exam, only then consider OET because it's more expensive, and again, you'll have to give IELTS anyway for the visa. So let's talk about PLAB 1 now. Yeah, when to give these exams, whether to give it before PG or after PG, whether to go through PLAB or whether to go through Royal College exams, like I said, is really an individual choice. And it depends on where you are in your family life, in your personal life, and financially, and a lot of factors that decide. But either ways, there's like pros and cons on both sides, I would say. So I'm going to talk in detail about PLAB exams and mostly about the PLAB route over the Royal College exam route. So the PLAB exam is the Professional and Linguistic Assessment Board exam. So there's 2 parts to it. There's part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the written exam, which is at the level of FY2. So by this exam, they're trying to see if you're competent enough for equivalent to a F2. And it's a 3-hour exam, and you have 180 questions. The 80% of the curriculum is clinical subjects and 20% is non-clinical. That is your first and second year of medical college. In India, it's in March and in November, whereas in UK, you have March, June, September, and November. The cost is around £235, and you can give up to 4 attempts, but I would say it is not a very difficult exam, and it is very straightforward. Preparation time would be around 3 to 4 months full-time study. About when to give it, again, very personal choice. You can give it anytime from after your final year. So from the time you enter your internship, you can give it anytime. There is no limitation to how many years after your graduation. The only thing that you need is your enough scores on your English speaking exam to be able to give this exam. Moving on. Okay. Sorry, my slide seems to have been stuck. Okay, let's go back. Sorry. So now coming to PLAB 2 exam. PLAB 2 is should be given within 2 years of giving your PLAB 1. And it's a clinical exam, it's a practical exam. You have cases, you have 18 cases that you have to present. And it's basically, you have 1.5 minutes outside to read the case scenario. And then you go inside and there'll be a dummy patient there's basically an actor who will pretend to be a patient, and you'll have an examiner. And you have to pretend like you're the doctor, he's the patient, and take a history, do the examination, tell him what the management is. And while you're doing all of this, the examiner assesses you. There's 12 marks for each station. They're judging you on your history taking, on your management, and your interpersonal skills. It happens in Manchester only in the UK, and it's around £860. You can give up to 4 attempts. The pass rate for 2018, I would say, was 66%. But I would say it has gone up recently because they are making it more easier for international doctors to come in, because definitely there's like a need for international doctors in the UK. So that was PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. Because I have like I'm really short of time, I'm just brushing through the whole process of having a post-graduation in UK. I'm not going into detail of each step. So through Royal College exams, if you've already done your PG or you're planning to do a PG in India and then go to the UK, the better option would be to give your Royal College exams. That's depending on your specialty, MRCS, MRCP. And once you've cleared all the steps of those exams, you can apply for your GMC license and then come to the UK and apply for jobs and do your further process. So that is Royal College exams. And then the other alternative is something called as medical training initiative. So this pathway is basically for doctors who just want to gain a short experience in the UK, maybe just go for 2 years and come back to the country. You're not going to get any degree out of it. It is just for an experience. And also, unfortunately, you will have to pay a fees for it. So unless you really want to do it, I wouldn't say there's any advantages to do this. In UK, exams are basically a test of competence and not a test of excellence. What I mean by this is that they are trying to standardize everything. So they want to see if you match the standard. They don't want you to be the topper. They don't want you to have, they don't care about the marks. As long as you pass the exam, that means you're competent enough at that level. So I think that's a really good advantage. And what they're actually looking at is your portfolio. So portfolio is your CV and plus your evidence of whatever you put on that CV. So if wherever in your career you are, and if you do plan to go to UK in the future, I would say start working on your portfolio. That is something most of the international doctors lack. And it's also because of the way we do things in India. It's different than the way things are done in the UK. So I would recommend people to start working on their CV and building up their portfolio. Now, where do you fit? So if you're post-MBBS, you would be at the level you have covered. Your internship is FY1, so you're at the level of FY2. So you enter UK at the level of FY2, and then you go on to do your core training and specialty training. If you are post-residency, then you're at the level of higher than FY2, you would have gotten your Royal College qualification. So you enter at the level of a registrar, and then you either get into training or you go through the non-training pathway to become a consultant in the future. So coming to why the UK. Now, it's a personal choice. To be honest, it's whatever I say right now over here, at the end of the day, it's a personal choice, because everyone's priorities are different. Someone wants the best training in the world. Someone wants something which is financially better. Someone wants something which is more relaxed and gives you a better life balance of life. So I'm not going to compare and tell you why UK is better than any other country, because it's everything has its own pros and cons. I'll just talk about what's good, I think, according to me and my experience. Why I would say you could choose UK is because it has got good training. They practice evidence-based medicine. You can do genuine research and you get a lot of research opportunities. And for people who want to go abroad and want to do surgery, it is one of the options, because in US it can be quite difficult to get into surgery, as far as I know. So I would say these are the main points. And well, it's London and it's nice and it's fun. And in terms of your work, I would say you get so many leaves. You get annual leaves, that's 27 annual leaves as a junior doctor, excluding Saturday, Sundays. You get study leaves. You can get up to like 20 study leaves. You do get, if you're sick, you get sick leaves and you get paid for that. You get public holidays and you get a lot of leaves. And it's decent income. You may earn more in US, but I would say it's more money than you earn as a junior doctor in India. In the future, when you become a consultant, I'd say, okay, private practice in India pays more, but it is decent income to lead a good life, to lead a really nice, settled life. Free healthcare and education once you get your resident permit. Easy settlement. In 5 years, you get your ILR, which is your indefinite leave to remain. And then in 1 year, you can apply for a British passport. It's close to Europe, a lot of traveling options, and there are a lot of Indians and a lot of international people. Like all hospitals have a lot of international doctors, so you never feel out of place. And yeah, another thing that people think about is racism. And I would say racism exists as long as you think you're not belonging to that place. So I would say that like everyone's really sweet over here. Your work environment is very, very nice. Coming to expenses, I don't know how much time do I have? Can Samarth tell me?
Yeah, ma'am, it would be good if you could finish the speech soon, because we have questions coming in.
Okay. So I'm not breaking this down, but just give me 2 more minutes, Samarth.
Yeah, sure,
Thank
sure.
you. So around £5,000, but really depends on how like 4,500 to 5,000 pounds, that's equivalent around 4.5 lakhs. But then once you start working in the UK, you will earn that back within 2 or 3 months. Just my last slide. So sorry, that skipped a slide. That's me, that's my contact details. So we run the IMG mentor. So whatever questions, I know we have only 5 minutes to answer questions, but whatever questions you all have and I'm not able to answer over here, please, you can mail me on IMG mentor. Follow my page, the IMG mentor. We do a lot of webinars and we're starting personal counseling sessions. So if you need any further advice and would like to opt for the personal counseling sessions, you can join and message us on Facebook or Instagram. And I'm having a webinar coming soon on 24th of the May, and basically on how to build your CV for UK. If you're still in India and want to come to UK, again, the details are on the Facebook page, and you can message me or email me if you are interested. And let's take some questions.
Okay, ma'am. So the first question is PLAB acceptable in Australia?
So rules keep changing every year. If you have if your PLAB 1 and if you have a GMC license, then you are exempt from the first written exam of the first written Australian exam, but you still have to give the practical exam in Australia. And if you have 1 year work experience in UK, I'm not completely sure because I think they have changed the rules recently. But as far as I know, if you have 1 year experience in UK, then you can again you need to just go and give the practical exams. And if you have 3 years experience in UK, then you can directly go and start working there under supervision for 1 year, and then they may choose to give you the license.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, after the introduction of UK MLE, would PLAB results still be valid?
So again, UKMLA, whether it's happening or not, is a big question mark. We don't know. Currently, because of COVID, they're wanting more international doctors to come in. So I don't know if they're going to change that. If it does happen, then from that year onwards, that will be the one which is valid. So before that, you can give your PLABs. If that happens, then I would say that they've not really, I won't be able to give you the right answer to that because they've not mentioned anything. So it's what they decide.
Okay, ma'am. And the next question is, can we come back to India and work after all this? And do we have an edge over Indian doctors in India if we come?
If you do get your consultancy, that is, if you become a consultant, you complete your training in UK and you become a consultant, you can go back to India. So your MRs, because when you become a consultant, you're going to give your Royal College exams, that is your MRCs and FRCs. So MRCs and FRCs are valid in India, and then you can start working. But as far as I know, it's mostly private practice. You won't be able to get into government practice because government, you can do private practice because you have FRC exams, which are valid in India. And getting a consultant post, after that it's valid all over Europe, all over the Gulf countries, in Australia and New Zealand, after you've cleared their certain exams, but your consultancy is valid over there.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question is, are there any college recognitions required for applying in PLAB?
No, you're in Indian college.
Yeah.
So they have, so if you go on the website, gmc.org, they have a list of medical colleges that they recognize. But if your college is not there on it, there is a process. Again, if you go on the website, they have a process through which you can contact them, and they'll find out about your college, and then there's some paperwork involved. It's a little more tedious than normal, but I think if you go on the website, there's a complete detail of it. But most of the colleges are recognized.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, one question is from an American citizen. He's asking if he still has to give OET.
If you are, you do not, because IELTS or OET is given for non-English speaking native countries. So if America is an English speaking country, so you do not need to give your language exams.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question is, for how many years is the PLAB score valid?
Once you get which PLAB? Like once you give your PLAB 1, within 2 years, you have to give your PLAB 2. Once you've given your PLAB 2, you apply for a license immediately. And once you've applied for that license, then there is a criteria of how you need to come to the UK to work within a few years. It's not It's not like USMLE where your PLAB score, like your USMLE score is valid for 7 years and then stuff like that. Within PLAB 1, you have 2 years, you have to give your PLAB 2 and then apply for license immediately.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, one question is, I'm doing MD radio diagnosis and want to do fellowship in interventional radiology from UK. Ma'am, can you guide him?
Unfortunately, I won't be able to I am not completely sure about the process for interventional radiology because it's super specialty. But if you've given your Royal College exams in radiology, then you will have to if you go to nhsjobs.com, that's where all your jobs are. All the jobs are there, and directly to get into interventional radiology, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer that question. I don't have an idea about that.
Thank you, ma'am. And the next question is, can we apply via the Royal College pathway after getting fellowship from the Royal College, such as FRCS, etc., or do we need MRCS?
No, once you have FRCS, then you can apply for your GMC license. And FRCS that is FRCS UK. If you've got the FRCS UK, then you can apply for GMC license.
Okay, now one question is, just a second. What is the advantage of entering UK through PLAB over doing residency in India and then go to UK through MRCP?
So the advantage, I would say, is that when you're coming directly from India, you're still young. Directly after MBBS, when you're coming, when you do that, you have to think of two things. If you're 100% sure that I want to live abroad and I'm going to go and live in UK, then I would say, and you're still doing your MBBS, I would recommend come directly after MBBS, because you've come directly after MBBS and you're joining the training at the level of the doctors who are joining the UK doctors. You're at the same level. But if you're doubtful about that and you want to just come to UK and see, and you feel like you want to do Indian residency and do UK both, then do Indian residency and then come to UK. Then you have that option of, okay, I don't want to stay for that 8 years to complete training. In 2 years, I think I want to go back to my country. You can go back to your country. But once you come after MBBS, you have to finish your training to be able to have something recognizable to go back to your country.
Thank you, ma'am. And the next question is, like people say, it is very difficult for international students to get surgery in the States. Is it the same in the British?
So getting surgery training anywhere in the world outside India for Indian doctors is very difficult, I would say. Now, comparatively, if you compare the statistics, it's better in UK than the chances of getting into surgery are better in UK than in the US. But again, it's not easy in the UK too. It is quite competitive. You have to have a lot of things on your CV, and you have to basically, the number of seats are less. You're competing with UK graduates and UK graduates who want to do surgery, who are very competitive and ambitious. So you have to show them that you're at their level.
I think that is it, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking